Welcome back to the Books Bible Study. We are continuing in the book of Leviticus, chapter 21. In chapter 20, there were 10 commandments in that chapter, but only 3 new ones, right? The other ones had already been mentioned. Verse 1, Leviticus 21. And the Lord said to Moses, Speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, None shall defile himself for the dead among his people. Verse 2, except for his relatives who are nearest to him, his mother, his father, his son, his daughter, and his brother. Verse 3, also his virgin sister who is nearest to him, who has had no husband, for her he may defile himself. So for these people, the regular priests, right, if these related people died, then the priest could touch them or go, through the ceremonial rites and things for the dead if they were the regular priests. Only for their mother, their father, their son, their daughter, their brother, and their virgin sister. Right? Verse 4 says, Otherwise he shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. So defile and profane are similar, but they're not the same. So defilement focuses on impurity, right? Something being unclean. And profane focuses on loss of holiness, right? Disrespecting holiness by treating it as ordinary. So something being defiled is unclean, impure, dirty, and then something profane is something that causes something sacred to lose its holiness, or you treating something as ordinary that is holy, right? Verse 5 says, They shall not make any bald place on their heads, nor shall they shave the edges of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. Verse 6, They shall be holy to their God, and not profane the name of their God, for they offer the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and the bread of their God, therefore they shall be holy. Verse 7, They shall not take a wife who is a harlot or a defiled woman, nor shall they take a woman divorced from her husband, for the priest is holy to his God. So the priests were allowed to marry, however, she had to be a virgin. Okay, verse 8. Therefore you shall consecrate him, for he offers the bread of your God. He shall be holy to you, for I, the Lord, who sanctify you, am holy. Verse 9. The daughter of any priest, if she profanes herself by playing the harlot, she profanes her father. She shall be burned with fire. Verse 10. He who is the high priest among his brethren, on whose head the anointing oil was poured, and who is consecrated to wear the garments, shall not uncover his head nor tear his clothes. Verse 11. Nor shall he go near any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or his mother. Verse 12, Nor shall he go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his God, for the consecration of the anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am the Lord. So this separates, as I said, the regular priest from the high priest, right? The high priest couldn't even attend the funeral of his mother or father, as the regular priest did. Verse 13 says, And he shall take a wife in her virginity. Verse 14, a widow or a divorced woman or a defiled woman or a harlot, these he shall not marry, but he shall take a virgin of his own people as wife. Verse 15, nor shall he profane his posterity among his people, for I, the Lord, sanctify him. Verse 16, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, verse 17, Speak to Aaron, saying, No man of your descendants in succeeding generations who has any defect shall not approach to offer the bread of his God. Verse 18, For any man who has a defect shall not approach. A man blind or lame or has a marred face or any limb too long. Verse 19, a man who has a broken foot or a broken hand. Verse 20, or is a hunchback or a dwarf, or a man who has a defect in his eye or eczema or scab, or is a eunuch. So eunuch in this sense means that there's a defect in their sexual organs, right? So no one that has a defect in their generations can come and offer anything on the altar. Verse 21 says, No man of the descendants of Aaron, the priest, who has a defect shall come near to offer the offerings made by fire to the Lord. He has a defect. He shall not come near to offer the bread of his God. Verse 22, he may eat the bread of his God, both the most holy and the holy. Verse 23, only he shall not go near the veil or approach the altar, because he has a defect, lest he profane my sanctuaries, for I, the Lord, sanctify them. Verse 24, and Moses told it to Aaron and his sons and to all the children of Israel. So this was pretty much dedicated to the priest, and the restrictions they have on if they're able to attend the burial rites of their loved ones, who can, who can't. Also about the defects, they could not offer any offerings on the altar. They could not go behind the veil, right? But they could eat the bread, the priestly portion of the offerings they could eat. So that concludes Leviticus 21. Stay tuned for Leviticus 22. We're almost out. If you need to catch up, go ahead and catch up. Definitely, we need to know what the rules were to them so that once we read further down the line, we understand why things were so detrimental if they broke these laws, right? So there were quite a few last chapter, and I think one this chapter, where the prescription was death, right? And so when you see people being killed, they are being killed because they broke the law, right? The law that they knew, right? This was what was constantly spoken over and over and over. So it's not something that they did not know. Okay, so that concludes this chapter. Stay tuned for chapter 22. God bless.